History Nuts. I'm Russ Carson Jr., the founder of Family Tree Nuts. At Family Tree Nuts, we build family trees for people, and we produce videos at historic locations and videos that help to honor your ancestors.
I'm Jameson Cable, founder of the Kentucky History Podcast, where we talk about anything Kentucky history, events, people. If it has to do with Kentucky, we're going to discuss it.
And we've teamed up together to bring you History Nuts.
History Nuts is a live show where we talk about, you guessed it, history.
Right. History seems to be less and less to people today, but we are trying to do everything we can to keep it alive.
Absolutely. History is a passion of ours for sure, but it connects to you. Russ, tell us about the best part of the show.
You can join in. You can comment and ask questions live.
We've got a great topic today, and we know you're going to enjoy this episode of
History Nuts.
And we are live. We're here. We're there. What's going on, man?
Man, well, the wind just blew in and it's blown out, and hopefully it doesn't blow too hard and knock our internet out like the typical stuff, but a little bit of rain.
Yeah, a big storm came through, didn't it? Big storm came through. I think you get a little bit before we do. So, man, it is cool to have you here tonight. Our last show we did was really a big hit about the Scots-Irish, and something could be more and more videos done about. But tonight we're talking about Dracula, right?
No, not Dracula, but close to Dracula.
Vlad the Impaler.
Twilight. Wasn't we going to talk about Twilight? Vampires?
Twilight. Yeah, you said Transylvania is what the show is about today, right?
Yes, Transylvania Company.
Isn't it?
Transylvania Company.
Yeah, the Transylvania Company. Was that, that's not Dracula's group. That's something totally different, isn't it?
Oh, my notes are a little wrong though, man. No.
Totally wrong. And hey, the reason we're talking about this particular subject tonight is, man, we're right about the same time of year that all this was going down. Well, when it got put into action, I guess we should say, right?
Yeah. Here in March, early April, things were happening in Kentucky. Things were getting moving.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a few days ago, they actually, 246 years ago in a couple days is when it happened. So, but good deal. Let's get on it there. The Transylvania Company. Are we froze up? Are we there?
I might be froze. Can you hear me?
I got you, brother.
Okay. I shouldn't have spoke so soon. We'll go out for sure now.
Yeah, it's been funky there.
Before we get going, though, you got some comments. Post some comments. Post some comments. Tell us where you're from. I did post the Kentucky History Channel YouTube channel on in the comments, so we would appreciate a big like. We're getting up there. We ain't as high as Family Tree Nuts, but we're climbing. We're trying to catch you.
Yeah, absolutely. Really good.
Yeah. So, Richard Henderson, that's where we probably need to start at, right?
Well, hang on. I want to say something real fast. Don Smith says, hey, he's missed a few of the live shows. He's been really busy. But I'm glad that he said that, because this is being broadcast on both of our YouTube channels and on both of our Facebook channels. And I get that. You don't have to watch this live. You can watch it tomorrow, next week. You can watch it 6 months from now. You can watch it whenever. It's always there on YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's gonna be there. So check it out. Check out some back episodes. Like I said, last week's was pretty interesting. I learned a lot of stuff I didn't know about. So
Don said that he lost his top fan badge. I don't know how that happened either, buddy. So we don't lose connection. Looks like we're good there. Hey, comment where you guys are watching from and ask us questions. Join in. That's part of the show. You get to join in. So, but
tell us what you know about Richard Henderson.
Who is Richard Henderson?
Well, he was born in 1735 in Hanover County, Virginia. His dad was Samuel and his mom was Elizabeth. So that's his basic. That's where he
Okay.
comes from.
Yeah.
His family moved around a little bit. Went to Greenville County, North Carolina, and so forth. But he eventually started studying some law. He worked with Judge John Williams. For everybody who knows who John Williams is, right?
I
Not
don't.
the conductor, not the
I don't know
conductor,
who
the Star
John
Wars.
Williams is.
You don't know who the Star Wars conductor is, or this John Williams, or either.
Neither. Yeah,
Neither.
I remember that. Yeah, he
Okay.
was some kind of composer or something, right? Or
Yeah.
but who's
Yeah.
John Williams, the judge?
I don't know. I guess he taught law. I don't really know. So he worked under him or studied under him, and then he got his license under Chief Justice of North Carolina, Charles Berry. Some big time players, and this was early in his life. So he was a young feller. But then the Proclamation of 1763 hits. I mean, we don't have to talk about all his life. We basically need to jump to this point. 1763 hits, and that kind of changes things.
It's a Proclamation of 1763, a very important time in American history, and it's probably something that very few people even know about. But it's incredibly relevant to our story here tonight, and to most of our ancestors that we talked about last week, the Scots-Irish.
Mm-hmm.
What was the Proclamation of 1763?
It was basically the king was putting his foot down, saying you can't go past this line, which basically was to the west of the colonies. Trying to, I guess, get the peace with the Native Americans and that sort of thing. So, and oddly enough, whenever that line is drawn, people say, you know what, I'm gonna cross that line. We're gonna go over there.
Hey, you're all the way over there across the water, man. What do you do about it? Laws you can enforce, right? So
yeah, exactly.
It's right at the end of the Indian War time period too. So but part of the treaties there. Basically, white people don't go over here. And all the white people obeyed those rules and made sure that they never went any further, didn't they?
No, man. That's how we're here today, man. If they wouldn't have broke those rules, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah. There's some really good land on the other side of that.
Yeah, and they did probably have that attitude of freeing man. They were not too abiding by authority, I guess, especially the king's authority. They started moving west. Henderson in the same year actually gets married, and him and his wife have some kids. That happens. However, that did not stop his ambitions, I guess, because he had over his life some big time ambitions, I do believe.
Absolutely.
But he starts a land purchasing company, and
purchased
land.
He did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The first one I think was Henderson and Company. Not too successful, but he did hire Daniel Boone, Henry Skaggs, Richard Callaway. Go ahead.
What is a land company?
Basically, they would go out and survey land, and then I guess go back and sell it to people. Really, was the main thing. That's what I understand it as. I mean,
right? Yeah, buy it and sell cheap. So
but they kind of had an interesting business model, I guess. How exactly do you go and buy land that's not yours and then turn around and sell it? I don't know exactly. That was a big conflict, of course. But
you said he hired some guys to do some surveying for him.
Yeah, old Daniel Boone got his toe in the water there, and did some surveying. Henry Skaggs, Rich Callaway, they all kind of scouted out the wilderness, to survey the land, figure out what they needed to do, or find land for him to purchase, I guess.
Right.
So that was
you got to find out what's out there, right?
Endeavor. Stay.
I just said you got to find out what's out there so you know where to go to.
Oh yeah.
Figure out what you want to try to buy, and Europeans have been coming into Kentucky. The first recorded, I think it's 1670s, the first European that came into the area of Kentucky that they know of. But and then you have French trappers and things like that. And we talked about last week, 2 weeks ago, in 1750. Dr. Thomas Walker was coming into Kentucky as well. So, but they still was pretty much an unknown wilderness to most people. There wasn't any maps and things of it, but that's why I had to hire these backwoodsmen.
Yeah, get a feel of the land, and obviously, old Boone was willing to go. I mean, he was a bit of a backwoodsman for his whole life. So, so they get it going, and in like 1768, Henderson was appointed by Governor William Tyrone, or am I saying that right? Is that Tyron? Tyrone, right?
Tryon.
Oh, Tryon.
Not Tyrone.
Huh.
It's a different guy.
That's a different guy. So he's sent or he's appointed as the North Carolina. Sure, you got me all messed up now. Henderson was appointed by the governor of North Carolina to serve on the Supreme Court. So his land purchasing kind of gets a little bit of a halt, not too much. And a few years later, the court is actually dissolved, so he's free of that burden of being on the court. And
he's not just an average guy. I mean, this guy is somebody.
No, this guy's a big player.
Well connected, had money to start with, kind of thing, but was incredibly ambitious.
Oh yeah, he had some goals, and we'll get to those because he forms a new company, which typically, from my understanding, when you form a new company based upon the old company you had, typically means the old company probably went under, so you just make a new company. Is that how it goes, basically?
Yeah, buddy. There's all kinds of that, that goes on. Colonel Sanders, you think of Colonel Sanders, so.
Yeah. So he forms the Louisa Company, and this company sets up, or company's purpose was to actually purchase land in the Western Territories south of the Ohio. So you're talking about Kentucky, Tennessee, and to actually start settling the colony. Henderson, Nathaniel Hart's another person he had with him, went to negotiate with the Cherokees in the fall of 1774, and they agreed on a land purchase.
Nathaniel Hart was the lead negotiator, and at one time the negotiations fell out, and the Cherokee said, "You know what? I'm freaking out of here, man. I'm going back to we're out of here, and you guys are ripping us off." And Nathaniel Hart went and stayed with them pretty much most of the winter and renegotiated the whole deal and made that happen. He's an important fellow that ended up settling on there, created the first settlement right outside of Boonesboro, and was later murdered in 1782. That's just a little side note. I wanted to throw that out there about Nathaniel Hart, kind of thing. We've got a couple videos about him.
Oh yeah. He's well able to be Kentucky, man. But they start purchasing this land, and they actually put out ads in newspaper in like Virginia, North Carolina, saying, "Hey, come get this land, come on."
What's the viewership in 1774 of a newspaper?
How many views and clicks are they getting?
You get 150 viewers, or what is that going on?
Yeah, at least, man.
We probably have more people watching this show here tonight than most of the newspapers there had. So,
and one thing would be really cool, and I don't have this, and I probably should research it and try to find it. It would be really cool to get a newspaper clipping of like one of those ads saying like, "Come to this land and join us up." I don't know if you have any or seen any, but that would be a real cool find.
Not from this one, but we talked about last week. Those land companies were the ones that they were recruiting the Scots-Irish to come and settle the backcountry kind of thing. It's so this is nothing new at the time. It's kind of the MO.
Mhm.
And the only reason we know about this particular one is because of the rest of the story and things like that. So, Henderson's an entrepreneur. He's trying to make some money, big time, man. He's not trying to make millions. He's trying to make billions, kind of thing. So there's a lot at stake at this, isn't there?
There is. And so what does he do? He's not made his billions yet. He decides to reorganize again, and he had some new members, new I guess upper management, if you want to say that, and he forms the Transylvania Company, and that's where
Transylvania. What the heck? That's the Dracula people again.
That is, and like when you see this, it's such an odd name. Like, why in the world did he pick that name? But I guess he had some connections to the Transylvania. I'm not really sure why.
It's basically a Latin word that means over the woods, across the woods.
There you go. So I guess he was a literal name maker, because they were going to go over the woods about big time.
Past the woods, absolutely.
Yeah. So they planned to continue the purchase land for the Cherokee, even though the governor of North Carolina said, don't do that, which again, he's out. Henderson's ready to get rich, man. He's going to do what he's got to do.
Well, I mean, there's a whole lot at the time. He's a judge. He's a lawyer. He knew the law, I'm sure, as good as anybody else did. And it really just depended on the ruling in a court case to whether or not he would be successful in what he was doing, because who the heck had jurisdiction over that land? Was it Virginia? Was it North Carolina? Was it the Cherokee? Was it the Shawnee? Who the heck was it from? Who owned it?
Wow. They wanted it, so
they figured the Cherokee owned it, and the Cherokee had lock, stock, and barrel title to the land, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No,
you can hear me. I lost you there.
I said the Cherokee had lock, stock.
I heard barrel.
The Cherokee had complete ownership of the land, didn't they?
Yeah. So who do they talk to buy this land? The Cherokee, right?
Yeah, but what about the Shawnee?
March 17th? Well, I mean, they had some of it too, I guess.
Yeah, they did. That's
multi spoons in the pot? Is that how the saying goes?
Yeah, I mean, how can you sell something that you don't own?
I don't know. You can, I guess, or maybe you can. I don't know.
I could see it in the neighbor's car or something, but
Yeah. So Henderson goes ahead and does it anyway, though. He goes ahead and does it. Completes the Treaty of Sycamore Shoals on the Watauga. Did I say that right?
The Watauga Summit.
Yes, on March 17th, 1775. So a pretty good little not too long ago. What's today? The 25th. So about 8 days ago. 8 days ago.
Yeah.
And for some more connecting history here, about this time, a little bit, give or take some, people are already starting to settle in Kentucky. They're headed to, say, like Fort Herod, in that way. Now, they were coming down the river, the Ohio River, and so all this is kind of happening at the same time. So,
well, this is a big deal. I'm glad you brought that up. Because it's a daggone race. It is a race to get in and get the best land. And there's people coming from all directions to get there. Boone had tried to settle in 1773 with a group with Captain William Russell and others. And when his son James was murdered along the way, 2 years earlier, they were trying to settle that area. People have been coming into Kentucky. It's time. Like the guys came in the fall of 1774. Benjamin Logan is just like a month behind this party right here trying to settle there. There is an amount of bodies that poured in the very first year and 2 years of existence is unbelievable. So getting there first was a big deal, and that basically becomes that sets the precedent for American settlement as they move further west too. Being there first is everything. Everything. And that's in our American culture, right? Be first. If you ain't first, you're last.
Yeah. Yeah. Easy, Bobby. Right? It was a race to the moon, to say it that way. It was trying to get there first. That was the goal.
Absolutely.
So the treaty basically claimed western and central Kentucky and north and central Tennessee as the property government of Transylvania. I think does Jordan have that picture of that map? Well, if you've seen the thumbnail, that's basically what they had drawn out, I guess. Jordan, you have that? Maybe there? No, not that picture. Not that picture.
That's all he has. It's the
Maybe
thumbnail,
not.
Jordan.
Okay. Yeah, so the thumbnail picture, if you look at the thumbnail, that's what it is. You can see kind of the area of it. Daniel Boone and a group of the frontiersmen, they are sent out to the wilderness to make the wilderness road, raise a settlement, and this is in March 1775. So.
What's really cool is they set out about 10 days before the negotiations were final too.
Was done.
They were the advanced party, Daniel Boone and the Axemen, and they, Daniel knew the way to get there, and he cleared the path basically so they could get some wagons and materials in there, but they left marks on the trees, so that the party of settlers could find their way into the area that they were going to be at. And you have it. That was the Wilderness Road. I'm going to throw this out there. The Boone Trace people don't think that should be called the Wilderness Road. The Wilderness Road didn't come about until 1792, much later by Governor Cherokee. So the first path through there, there's Skaggs Trace and Boone Trace that went through there. So. If you'd like to know more about Boone Trace, check out Family Tree Nuts and go to Boone Trace on there. We have documented every turn and twist of Boone Trace all the way from Virginia to Boonesboro. So make sure you check that out. That's pretty good.
Cool. That's pretty good, yeah.
So
to show you kind of how, I guess, big Henderson was, instead of, he hired all these people to do this, and he waits a few weeks, and then, shows up to Boonesboro, and of course he first is all about let's assemble, calling for laws to be created to kind of govern the citizens. And now Jordan with the picture again. This is a picture of the delegation at Boonesboro. Pretty cool picture. You can basically find it on the internet if you want to look at it closer. But I'm going to make the assumption that that's old Henderson in the big high chair. I don't really know for sure who's who, but probably a good assumption that he's the one up there in charge. Trying to make his money.
Is that an actual photograph of the event?
No. Are you asking me if somebody's taking a picture there or drawing it?
Yeah, I'm just teasing.
Yeah. So.
But that was really cool. That's actually the divine elm, and that engraving is on right there at the original site of at Fort Boonesboro there. Just in a few short weeks, they built their shelters and things. But the next thing they did is they held a church service, and a few days later they held the government talk about it. And the government they had some they elected some people who were well. First of all, we're talking about a government. But it wasn't just people in Henderson's party. Who were the other people?
Yeah, so they kind of, I guess, you send out some runners. It baffles me too. I guess it's not crazy, but to find how fast they were able to connect to these people, like they were able to connect to Herod, who had already settled and was building his fort. Like you said, Benjamin Logan was rolling in about a month behind them. He already had stuff going on at St. Asaph, and then you got Bowling Springs. And each one of these places had 4 representatives come to Boonesboro, and Boonesboro got 6 representatives. But they had, in this short amount of time in this complete wilderness, they're bringing up some government. They're getting things rolling. So
within weeks.
pretty amazing.
Within weeks. I mean, they stepped off in mid March, and by mid May, you've got 4 communities already that have sprung up. And I think that's important about the mad rush to get in there first. And that's really puts it in perspective of what in the heck was going on, about bodies that were just bursting at the seams to pour into Kentucky.
Yeah. Yep. So Boonesboro was kind of planned out to be this capital of this new colony, but they passed some laws, and I mean they had, not specific on these laws, but you will know some of them.
Yeah, they had some cool rules, didn't they?
So there was acceptable behavior, how to behave. They established, a government of a court system, that sort of thing, punishments for criminals, those sorts of things, how to regulate a militia, all those things. But they also prohibited the prohibition of swearing. So you were not allowed to use any swear words.
Swearing. You would have been in huge trouble, Jameson.
Now easy.
They'd have put you in jail.
I was about to say I'm not the one that's been in the Navy, but I guess neither of you. But you've been in the Marines, right?
Yeah, big difference, bud. Yeah, man. But kind of the same thing. Yeah, that's cool because you said that, and the story with that is the Axemen. The Axemen that went ahead with Daniel Boone were some backwoods rough dudes, and here they are bringing in families and things like that. Imagine these backwoods frontiersmen. Their language was probably a little bit different than those that are those church-going folks, that were going there to settle. So, they're like very uncouth, Imagine a bunch of foul language around your wife. You probably wouldn't stand for that, I'm sure. So
that's right. We keep it clean.
That's right.
So, yeah. So the governor of North Carolina and Virginia both
There's one more law.
Oh, one more law. The Sabbath breaking.
Yeah.
Sabbath. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you believe that? I mean, well, that's interesting, Steve. Now, this is 1775. This is pre-Declaration of Independence, pre-Constitution, pre-separation church and state, all that kind of stuff. So isn't that neat, though, that the very first government in the West right there, they have in there the Sabbath breaking. So,
yeah. Interesting laws. I would like to look at each individual one, but I don't know if that exists. I just that what my sources just give the general, like, these are some laws they passed. So pretty cool, pretty good information though. But so the governor of North Carolina and Virginia both said, like, this ain't happened. This ain't a colony. Some settlers. This is where things get really interesting. James Herod was one that was like, he opposed this convention, fearing that it would kind of mess up their land claims. Saying, hey, if we establish this new government, I got my land from Virginia or wherever it may be. And say, like, if we set up this new government, they might claim take my land away. But he was against it, and most of the other, I think, the McAfees was with him, and most of them were all kind of like, no, this isn't a good idea. They were not supportive of making a new colony. So
what a mess! What a mess it was.
Yeah. Which, I mean, in a way, you could say these were politicians
saying you can't do it, but the Transylvania Company saying you can't tell us we can't do it. We bought this.
We
land.
just did it.
And they're still part of England, and there's still a colony of Great Britain, and the king says you can't be there either. So it's a whole. There's a lot on the line for everybody.
Yeah, and basically, you got Henderson just trying to do whatever he wants, and I mean, who would think of a bunch of politicians getting together and having a problem? But it's very interesting, and it gets even more heated though. They send a representative. Like, they even want to be more forceful and say, here's our representative of the colony of Transylvania to the Continental Congress. But that doesn't go well. They say, it doesn't happen. You don't need no representation. You're not a colony. And they basically annul the Sycamore Shoals Treaty and say that's not valid. So
right, basically, there's no. You know, Jameson, when I hear stories like this, and we often say them in passing about stories about Henderson, Boone, these big names and things, what I often think about is, what about the average Joe Schmo family that sold everything back home? They sold their land, they sold their furnishings, they sold everything and went all out 100% to go settle. And what was at risk here is that the government could say, I don't care what you did, you got to go back. You've got to go back. You spent all your money on the stuff you sold on supplies to get you to this point. Now you got to go back. I mean, what talk about risks, man. I mean, people have no idea right now. That's what I think about. I know I'm going on a tangent here, but this is real life and real. So
like you said, oftentimes we get caught up in the big players, but like there's always the everyday people there that literally move their entire life. That going back probably wasn't even an option for some of them. I mean, that would be, a huge undertaking just to go back. They've already sold everything, and then what are they going back to? They don't have anything back there, to Virginia or North Carolina or wherever they came from. So, big risk on their part. And then you got these people can't make up their mind on what to, who they're a part of, I guess, to say it that way. So
the government's got a problem. Now they got all these thousands of people in the backcountry kind of thing, setting up cabins that aren't supposed to be there.
Yeah, and they would be considered American citizens at the time. I mean, obviously the Revolutionary War is about to start, or all that stuff's kind of going on. So, during the next 10 years, it is kind of a bit of turmoil in Kentucky and people settling, but. But anyway, so they petitioned again, but while they were petitioning to say, hey, we want to have a representative, our boy George Rogers Clark, he comes into play, and he petitions Virginia to make the colony part of Kentucky, or make the colony part of Virginia, and therefore Kentucky County is created, and basically shoots Henderson's dream, dead.
Because of that squashed it completely. He might still have won there, but Virginia basically said, nope, we want you, and there's enough people that want to be part of Virginia. You're now Kentucky County. Daniel Baker says, look at our southern border right now. So there's tons of examples of this all throughout our American history. Of people settling in. And I know Sue and Amanda were both trying to claim Nathaniel Hart there as being their grandfather that we were talking about there. So I guess that makes a cousin, right? And George Rogers Clark faded away to obscurity after that, didn't he?
No. Quick though, I do have a comment. Is from Michael. It says, have y'all ever tried to verify the Green River Treaty? Have you done that before, Russ? I'm not sure.
No, sir.
I'm not sure. I've not either.
Let's check that out. The Green River Treaty.
Not sure.
I know that's. Let's check that out. Yeah. I'll be the first to admit I don't know everything about everything, but I know a whole lot about some things, but not everything about everything. So that's why we need help, right?
That's right. That's right. So. This kind of ends Henderson's dream of kind of having his own independent colony. We'll get in a minute. We'll talk here. We'll talk here in a second about what I guess just about Henderson in general. But so he do give himself some compensation though. They give him like 200,000 acres of land, and it is in what is now Henderson County, Kentucky. So it's really out far west to say, they kind of said, hey, here's some land. It's even farther though than where you're at now. So
200,000 acres. Can you fathom that though? What is that, like 300 and some square miles or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know. I think of a map and I'm trying to think, well, this is 300 or 200,000 acres, and I really can't even think of that. Michael said he would post a link.
So he obviously he sold all of that, and it was up to him what he sold it for. But
no,
he made a bunch of.
Oh yeah. He got his money. He may not have been king of his country, but or his colony or whatever, but he definitely got his money.
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up because that is a side part of all this too. Is nobody knows who owns this land, and literally what you just said could have been an outcome of it all. It could have been its own kingdom with Colonel Richard Henderson being the king. It could have been its own state with him being the governor. There's a lot of alternatives that can happen at this point in time in history, and it's a really neat time that really molded who we became as a country.
Well, it sets up a lot, and of course, as far as Kentucky goes, I kind of think that was his goal. I mean, it can't very well seem he kept wanting to purchase land. He wanted to start this government. I mean, he had a plan. We're settling. We're creating this government. We're just going to send a representation, and we're rolling with it. He definitely wanted to be at least at the lowest the governor of the new colony. He wanted that power.
Sure.
Virginia kind of swooped in and took it away. But even after that, even after Virginia kind of sets up, Kentucky being a colony, you have like the Spanish issues coming up. Controlling the Mississippi River, on top of all the Native American attacks as well. Kentucky for the next probably you got the 3 7s. That's a terrible year. Is just in chaos really. It gets wild. And Henderson was trying his best, I believe, to capitalize on the land or that aspect of things. Yeah.
I think when I think of Colonel Richard Henderson, there's a famous saying that many of us use all the time that comes to mind when I think of Colonel Henderson. It is easier to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission.
Yeah. I think so too. I think that's exactly what he was doing. Yeah. He's like, the king said we come over here. Let's go over there. Virginia, North Carolina says you can't live there. He's like, well, we're already here. We're going to make a government.
Right. What are you going to do?
So, yeah. And then, I mean, if it wasn't for George Rogers Clark, I would almost bet that's exactly how it went. He would have formed a colony. He would have, eventually become a state. And in all reality, there was not much North Carolina or Virginia could do except for what George Rogers Clark did, is in coming over there and saying, "Hey, you need to claim this land," and then therefore everybody's like, "We can get behind that." So,
and it set kind of precedent too, because it was right after this that the state of Franklin was formed too, kind of thing there in East Tennessee, breaking off from North Carolina, and they ended up with the same fate, kind of thing. They wanted to be their own state as well. But it definitely sets in there, and it went in lots of different ways. There's one more thing that we forgot. Didn't he get hired? We did our show 2 weeks ago was Dr. Thomas Walker. Didn't he get work surveying?
I believe he did. You said work? Did he work for the Walker survey?
He worked. Yeah,
yes,
Dr. Thomas Walker and Richard Henderson got tasked with an important job.
Going. You're talking about going west to the rest of Tennessee.
Yeah, to create the border. Yeah, to survey out the border.
Yeah. Henderson kind of, I think, quit on that job, didn't he?
Yeah, he couldn't get along, man. You can imagine now. You're talking about some serious personality conflicts. These guys, you want some mountain man, kind of thing. And they put these two big dogs that have so much and put them out there and said, "Buddy, you got to work together on this thing here." And Henderson said, "I am out of here, man. I got my 200,000 acres I'm selling. I'm not fooling with you anymore."
I'm not working. That's the funny thing when I read that is like, he was hired to go and do this border of Virginia, North Carolina, and he quit. He didn't like. He got tired of fooling the guy, and he quit. So it's pretty funny. I mean,
take this job and shove it.
I don't need this no more.
Right.
Yeah, pretty funny. I mean, it's like Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, man. They just had to split.
Yeah, man. That's a good example right there. So, So yeah, so and Henderson's got some stuff named for him though, doesn't he?
Yep. So Henderson County, 38th County in Kentucky, was named after him. But like I said, it's all the way out in the west. I've not ever been to Henderson County. It's I'm trying to think of the main city in it right off the top of my head, and I'm thinking Owensboro. It's not Owensboro.
Out there, it's out near there. Yeah, that's Davies County.
Yeah, Davies is Owensboro, but it's close to Henderson. Owensboro is. Paducah's way out there. It's not that far. Shoot, I cannot think of the town in Henderson. Well,
yeah, but he's got lots of things that are named after Henderson, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm looking it up, man.
Look it up. But that's the thing. Like we were very close. We're very close to being. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, it's funny that the people that don't know the demographics of the state of Kentucky, it's actually Henderson, dude. Henderson is the county seat of Henderson County, so gotcha. That's what I was thinking. I was kind of like, what is Western Kentucky? A lot of people don't know anything that goes on out there. It's its own anomaly, and it gets forgotten about.
It is different. We have a lot of listeners who chime in and say, "Hey, get some Western Kentucky history going," and we're working on that. But it's of course being in Central and kind of Eastern Kentucky. It's harder to get out there and get that information. But there's a lot of stuff going on out there. It's just it's not as covered as much. The bluegrass region and Eastern Kentucky, gets a lot more, kind of very much overshadows Western Kentucky. So
Josh Sutherland said Hendersonville, and I think actually Hendersonville is a different county. That's over there west of Bowling Green. But anyway, we're going out on a tangent on there. Richard Henderson and the Transylvania Company and his band of Twilight Vampires. Name of the show tonight.
There you go. Team Edwards.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't get any pop culture references, man. I'm trying.
All I watch is Gunsmoke, man. Gunsmoke, Bonanza, maybe a little Andy Griffith, something like that. But
yeah, so we were real close to being the state of Transylvania. So close. Yeah, but the thing is, we dodged a bullet, because if we would have been the state of Transylvania, a little bit of Tennessee would have been with us too. So
right. And see, that's where you were talking about what does Transylvania mean. That's what Pennsylvania is, named after William Penn there, but over the woods there. But yeah. So what's going on with you guys? Where you go? What's on with the Kentucky History Podcast?
So
man, I've been so busy having
your
new stuff. You put out a lot of videos.
Yeah, so got some videos coming out. Focus on Kentucky people. I've been working on some actual videos that talk about specific events, like Bloody Monday, Sioux Monday, one we're going to talk about here soon, and stuff we've already talked about. We've talked about William Goebel and Caleb Powers, but actually putting together videos about those specific events and all that. On top of that, just about. I'm hoping in the next week or two we're going to be ready to roll out KentuckyHistory.co. So our website. We're very close, and we're going to have some extra stuff on there. It's not just going to be the podcast and the YouTube channel. A little bit more stuff. I've got some things we're working on. So hopefully that gets going soon. So me and Mr. Pop are going to meet up here soon too and record as well. So.
And I think you and I are going to get together here. You and I are supposed to get together here in about a week and a half or something like that.
Crab Orchard.
Yeah, we're supposed to do some videos on your hometown there. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
So yeah,
we
go ahead.
We've had a lot of stuff going on too. We've been rocking and rolling. Our YouTube channel, as you know, has exploded. So it's absolutely exploded. Like we have. Exploded. So if you like the stuff we're doing, make sure you check out our YouTube channels.
Yeah.
Both of us.
Y'all got videos coming out every day. I got new videos coming out. So
we try.
A lot of good content.
Yeah, from all over the place. We've got a spectacular team of folks that are doing that and rocking out family trees and stuff. But anyway, rambling a little bit here. So next week, I guess we're talking about Sycamore Holler.
All right. Sounds good. I'm ready.
Which on April 1st,
you ready?
Daniel Bourne's Axemen came there, a little sneak peek there, and they walked on there and they saw back to back buffalo. So they could just walk all the way across the buffalo that were right there. And they knew that it was a good spot. And they said, let's put the fort right here. But that's all I'll say for now. So anything else you want to say about Colonel Richard Henderson?
About old Henderson? Well, real quickly, Michael did say he posted the link to the Green River Treaty, so we'll have to check that out in the comments. Henderson, definitely ambitious dude. He would have been in Slytherin. He definitely had some goals, but almost got them too. I mean, he was real close. Could have changed a lot of stuff. So,
yeah, he ended up only being a multi-millionaire, not a multi-billionaire. Poor guy. So,
right. But, so close.
Almost up there demographic there, huh? So,
yeah. He almost entered a new tax bracket. He was so close.
Yeah, that's right. So, all right, we'll sign up for now, guys. Make sure you check us out next week. Appreciate you guys watching. And as always, hey, remember, family tree nuts, let our nuts find the nuts in your family tree.
Benjamin Graves was born in 1771 in Spotsylvania County, Virginia. His parents were Joseph and Frances Coleman Graves. His father died during his youth. After the Revolutionary War, in 1791, he moved to Fayette County, Kentucky with his mother and siblings. Graves married Polly Dudley, and they had 6 children. He became a representative for Fayette County in 1801 and 1804. He was a major in the 2nd Battalion, 5th Regiment of the Kentucky Militia in the War of 1812. Nathaniel Hart was under his command during the campaign. The American forces marched north toward Fort Detroit. He was wounded at the Battle of Frenchtown on the River Raisin in January. The next day, while in recovery, he was killed by Potawatomi Native Americans. No one Graves again. I hope you've enjoyed learning about Benjamin Graves. He was a frontiersman, a soldier, and he died as a prisoner. There is a lot of speculation around his death. Some say he was seen once next to a river, but was never confirmed. Most likely he was killed on the march to Detroit. Graves County, the 75th county of Kentucky, was named after Benjamin Graves. Don't forget to try out audibletrial.com/KYHistoryPod to get a free book of your choosing. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification button for more Kentucky history content. If you'd like to support the channel, check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/KYHistoryPod. Find us on these social media platforms and check out the Kentucky History Podcast on these podcast platforms for more in-depth history of Kentucky. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
So you've built your family tree and made a ton of amazing discoveries. What a fulfilling experience it is to breathe life back into them. But what are you going to do with all the information that you found? Are you going to let it sit on some computer or some website? Maybe hand off stacks of papers and binders that you have to some relative that may be interested but maybe not be able to make heads or tails of the research that you've done. Let us help honor your ancestors in video. At Family Tree Nuts, we make videos with you at the location of relevance to your ancestors, such as their gravesite, their homes, land, or other location pertaining to them. You tell their story in your words, documenting them forever. The professionally produced videos are published on our YouTube page where they are easily shared with your family members. The videos are also searchable and will be able to be seen for centuries by your descendants. Imagine being able to see a video of one of your ancestors. Well, your descendants are going to be able to do just that. And we have tons of examples that we can share with you. These videos are fun to make, and we can make many of them in just a single day. Don't let those amazing discoveries that you found slip back away into the darkness. Let us help you honor them by, in a sense, keeping them alive forever. Contact us for details.